Hi there. Fujifilm has just released the X-H2s. It's a beautiful piece of kit and it feels great in your hand, but I have to tell you I was thunderstruck when I realized they'd killed off one of the X camera's superpowers. And no, it's not what you think it is. It's not the switch to the PASM dial in place of the lens and other camera dials. That actually works pretty well. I'm Tony Phillips, author of many books on Fujifilm and other cameras, and I'm currently writing a book on the X-H2s. So what is it I'm in a knot about? Well, one of the superpowers of virtually all Fujifilm cameras to date has been the ability to have up to 7 camera configs which could be easily swept into the camera using the C1 to 7 settings in the Q menu. If you're a Fujifilm user, then you understand that system and how good it really is. It's an awesome feature for sweeping in almost complete camera configs, and if you set C1 to be your standard basic go-to camera, as I recommend in most of my books, you can reset your camera to a known setup in just a few taps. But with the X-H2s, no more. Fujifilm has given us a PASM dial like most modern cameras, and I'm not complaining about that at all. It's a pretty significant departure from Fujifilm operating methodology, and it's a kind of a superpower of the cameras, and it probably is something that attracted a lot of us to them in the first place. But on this PASM dial, there is the C1 to 7 custom settings, also like most modern cameras, but Fuji has actually made it work like Sony, and they've removed the possibility of sweeping any of the camera configs back into the camera, and in doing that, they've killed off one of their own superpowers in the process. Now, if you bend your X-H2 out of shape, there's no way to get it back other than visit every single menu item you changed and put it back the way it was. Too bad if you can't recall what it was since it was a day ago or a week ago when you did it. I know you can set a function button to recall the custom 1 setting, which basically means rapidly toggle it back to the C1 settings, but that doesn't work to sweep a config into the camera. It does allow you to switch rapidly between C1 and whatever the camera is currently set to by toggling the function button, so it's helpful, but it does not sweep the camera config back to the camera. It doesn't reset your camera when you return to P mode or A mode or S mode or whatever. There's no way to do that. But if I grab my X-T4, and I've kept my standard camera set up in C1 as I recommend in my X-T4 book, it's a simple matter to press the Q button, roll the dial, select C1, voila, camera, P, A, etc. modes back to a known config. But you just can't do that with the X-H2s. What the function button should have done is swept C1 back to the camera. I can't even imagine what they were thinking. One of the superpowers of the Fujifilm system is not being a Sony or a Canon or a Nikon. So here's a question. Could this be fixed? Yep, I think it could be. I think that if the function button allowed the currently selected C1, 2, 3, whatever, setting to be swept back to the camera, all would be perfect with the world, and for me the X-H2 would be king of the Fujis. Well, I really love my X-T4, or my T3, or my T2, and even my T1. Oh dear. So please, 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 Fujifilm, please do that. Well, thanks. That's me. Rant over. See ya. Oh wait, I have 2 kludge fixes for you. You can save camera settings using Fujifilm software like X-Acquire. So once you've set up the camera, save a copy on your PC. That way you can always restore it if you're totally stuck. Not very satisfactory, can't save it on the memory card and so on. My second suggestion is to set up C1 as your basic go-to camera and twirl the PASM dial to C1 when you want to significantly bend the camera out of shape. That way you don't mess with the camera's basic settings. You have to remember to turn Auto Update Custom Setting off in IQ Menu 3 so that the changes don't get saved back into your custom setting. Any changes you make that way don't survive powering off the camera. I kind of have a third option. We all beg Fujifilm to make the function button change I talked about so we can sweep any of the custom 1 to 7 settings back to the camera. And now a bit of shameless begging from me. I'm working on the X-H2 book. If you're interested in my pre-releases, jump on my website and let me know so I can keep you in the loop. Well, that's really it for me. See ya.